In today's video, I'm going to go through the memo of a test I set up. So this would be the starter, the first couple of chapters of the IGCSE course. It's not like too tricky, but it's definitely past paper questions. And yeah, I think I suggest you download this yourself. I'll put a link in the description below, a little QR code at the top so that you can find this video easily. It'll just link to this video again. But yeah, let's get into it. So I'll kind of rewrite some of them because I know it'll be small if you're watching on a phone or something. But anyway, make R the subject of the formula. So we have this formula. We want R as our subject. So it means that R has to be alone. So lots of stuff happening with R. R is being multiplied and then multiplied by 3, but then 5 is also subtracted. So I'll start with getting the terms away. So I'll add 5 on both sides. So I'll have P plus 5 is equal to 3R. But now R is being divided. So to undo that, I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides. 3's are going to reduce to 1. So I'm left with P plus 5 over 3 is R. On the memo, it says R is the subject. So we'll just write R is equal to P plus 5 over 3. Easy enough. Okay, next question. Question 2, find B when A. Okay, so this is a calculator paper, so just FYI. So A is equal to, I'll get my calculator. I'll put in what I would write. So I would do B squared. A is B squared minus 5C. The idea would probably be to get B as the subject first. That would maybe make our lives easier, but I'll just substitute and then see what happens. So 5.625, just subbing in the A, is equal to B squared, and then we have C as 5 times 2, which is just going to be 10. So below here we have 10, so I'm going to multiply with 10 on both sides. Sorry, it's a plus. It's multiply by 10 on both sides because then the fractions disappear. And I'll be left with 6.25 is equal to B squared. And to get my answer, I'm just going to take the square root. Yes, I'd probably have two answers here, but I think they just want 1B. So I'm going to go with a positive answer in this case. So square root of 6.25. I feel I should know this out of my head. Not really. 7.5. Okay, so B is equal to 7.5. Number 3, factorize completely. 2x cubed minus 18x. Okay, I'll write it down. 2x cubed, minus 18xy squared. I can take a 2 out and an x. And I'll be left with x squared minus 9y squared. Very common mistake is to end here and think you factorized because it doesn't look like there's anything common inside the brackets, but these are both square numbers, and that's the difference of squares. So the 2x, just keep the x there. The 2x is still here on the outside, and then this is difference of squares. So the square root of x squared would be x. That would be minus 3y. And then the second bracket is going to look the same, except there's going to be a plus 3y, and that's fully factorized. Question 4, maybe do a different color for it. Do like a red. Asking us to simplify the following. 6 times 2x plus 1 minus 5x minus 2. So we're going to multiply the 6 with the 2x, so we get 12x, and the 6 times the 1, so that would just be plus 6, minus 5 times x. Everybody gets this correct, but the catch is knowing that the minus 5 is multiplied by minus 2, so then we have a plus 10 in this case. Going to look for like terms, so 12x minus 5 is going to be 7x, and then 6 plus 10 is just plus 16. Can't really do anything further there. These are not like terms, so that is my final answer. Next page. Another rearranging formula question. make A the subject of the formula. So first of all, I don't like the fraction there, so I'm going to multiply with a p on both sides. So I'll be left with the a, or the square root of a is c times p. You could write pc, but usually we want to write alphabetical order, so cp makes more sense. And to undo this, I'm going to square on both sides. And then it will be a is equal to cp squared. So one of two ways to write this, either cp all squared, or a is equal to c squared p squared. So because both of those are being squared. Good. In number 6, seems like a little triangle we have here. See what's going on. In this question, all angles are in degrees. Okay. Use the information in the triangle to write down an equation in terms of x. So because it's a triangle and there are angles, I know the 3 interior angles are equal to 180 degrees, and they gave me the values for each angle. It doesn't look nice, but I mean, they're still values. So the first one is 2x. If I add that to this one, which is x plus 13, x plus, sorry, 23. I'm not, no, like that's the 13 over there. Sorry about that. X plus 23, and then plus, put in this in brackets, 2x minus 13. Maybe you don't have to put the brackets, but it's always safer that way. I'm going to just kind of lose the brackets there. So I'll have 2. Oh, wait. They want an equation, right? So an equation in terms of 8. So these 3 angles together is going to equal to 180 degrees. That's actually all they wanted. I think it'll be nice to clean it up. So I'll rather go 2x. That's plus x plus 23 plus 2x minus 13 is equal to 180. So the 2x plus that 2x plus this x, they're all like terms. So I have 5x. And then the 23 minus 13 is plus 10 is equal to 180 degrees. Write down an equation in terms of x. I think I would have just left it like this. I think this is good enough as an equation. I think at the top it would have probably been good enough, but yeah, this is just nicely cleaned up. Next one, they're saying solve this equation to find the value of x. Okay, so from there I'm just going to carry on and solve it. So I'm going to take 10 away on each side. So I'll have 5x is equal to 170 degrees because I'm minusing 10 on both sides. And then I'm going to divide by 5, and that should be 35, I think. Luckily, no, 34 out by 1. X is 30. Well, yeah, obviously 17 times 2 is 34. Anyway, never mind. There we go. So we solved x. Work out the size of the smallest angle. Okay, so we have 3 angles, and now we can sub. The long way would be doing each one. So 2x, and if x is 34, then if I were to call that angle A, for example, let's just call it angle A. The top one, 2x, that would then be 2 times 34, which is 68. Okay, so that's the top one there. B is going to be the 34 plus 23, so 34 plus 23, which is going to give me 57 degrees. And then C is going to be 2x minus 13. So the 2x, which is the 68, minus 13. Or if I do that quick, 6 minus, that's going to be a 5. Oh, wait. 8 minus 3 is 5, 55. Okay, so the smallest angle here would be 55. Work out the size of the smallest angle. So that one was the smallest. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Let's see what's on the next page. Seems like we have some percentages here. See what's going on next. In a sale, a shop reduces all prices by 12%. Dina buys a book which has an original price of $6.50. Calculate how much she pays for the book. So the book was 6.50. Now there's a couple of ways of doing this. I enjoy just multiplying by the part that's left. So if I had 1 would represent 100%. So if I took 12% off, it would be 0.88. So this, traditionally people go 6.50 times 12 over 100, and then finding out what 12% is. So 6.5 times, let's say 0.12, and that would give them 0.78. And then going 0.50 minus 0.78. Nothing wrong with this method. Let's say 6.5 minus 0.78. And then we get to 5.72. But what I kind of like to do is, because this is kind of a step and another step, I do everything in one. I say, well, if 12% is taken off, 12% would be 0.12, right, as a decimal. So then I would just take off 0.12 from 1 already, and I'll just multiply. And if I'm lucky, it's going to give me the same answer. Might not be able to see it on the calculator. Might just have to believe me. But if I multiply those two things, I get 5.72. So it's a bit of a quicker way of just doing it. I have my original price and I multiply with the part. So if it was 50% off, I'd multiply by 0.50. If it was 10% off, I'll multiply by 0.90. The catch is, well, no, I won't say the catch. It's just for this question, they say how much she pays for the book. If they ask me how much discount she got for the book, then this option would have been the better option. Okay, let's go for okay, I'm going to keep that there. For the B part, it's a bit of a different question. So let's say that's A and this is B. Now in B, it says Ilu pays $11 for a toy. Calculate the original price. So this is what's known as a reverse percentage. So there's a certain price and it was reduced by 12%. So just like this was a price that was reduced by 12%, in the first one, I knew what the price was. In this one, I don't know what the price is. If I multiply it by this 0.88, that's the reduction. So if I take this and I multiply it by 0.88, my end price is going to be 11. So it's kind of, in the first one, they said, this is the price, you're reducing it by 12. What is the end price? In this one, they're giving us the end price and the reduction, and they're asking what is the original price. So a couple of different ways of looking at this. I like this way because it's like, hey, an unknown times a certain something is going to give me 11. And this is a normal equation. So if I write this as 0.88x is 11, then I just divide by 0.88 on both sides. And then I would have x is, and hopefully that gives me 11. 11 divided by 0.88 gives me 1250. So 12.50. I can test this if I had 12.50, like in this case, 1250, but that's 650. And I multiply by 0.88, it should give me the answer, the end answer. And I'm looking for an answer like 11. And I'm getting 11, so all good. So a little bit of a tricky one because there's a reverse percentage involved, but still not impossible. Well, not like anything's really impossible in the exams, but I know it's not like the most tricky stuff. Okay, the next one we have question 8. The diagram shows a regular polygon. Write down the mathematical name for this polygon. So I'm just going to count the sides, or the corners is probably easier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's going to be an octagon. Octagon. Maybe octagon has an A in there. Octagon. Oh my goodness. Now I'm just going to say octagon and hopefully, yeah, I think that should be an O. I'm putting too much stress on this. Okay, I'll Google search this at the end. But yeah, octagon. Show that the interior angle of the polygon is 135 degrees. So because they say show that, I can't just go and put 8 times, I don't know, I can't really use the 8, so I'll have to, well, I can use the 8, but I have to write this formula. So usually what we do is we say 8 minus 2 times 180 divided by the amount of angles. So n would represent the amount of angles that we have, or interior angles that we have. So because it's an 8 in this case, we're going to say 8 minus 2 times 180, and we're going to divide that by 8. So on my calculator, it's going to be 6 times 180 divided by 8. Maybe you can do it without a calculator. I'm sure I can, but I don't want to now. So that's going to be 1080, and then divided by 8 is going to be 135. So I'll maybe write it like this, over 8, and then equal 135. So that is me showing it. This is very important that you show these two steps where you have your formula and you insert your amount. Going on to question number 9. Okay, what do we have here? There's like a box with some circles inside. Diagram shows a rectangle with 6 congruent circles. So congruent means they are exactly the same. They fit on top of each other, exactly the same. Not similar shapes where one can be bigger or smaller than the other. So all circles are similar, but they're not necessarily all congruent. These are all congruent, meaning they have the same radius. The diagram shows, okay, the circles inside each circle touches the adjacent circle and the sides of the rectangle. Okay, so that's pretty simple. And the radius of each circle is 8. So if I have a circle, I can maybe do a bit bigger there. A circle, then the radius is 8. Show that the length of the rectangle is 48. Well, I have 3 circles. There are going to be 6 radii, so 8, 8, 8, 8, 8. So I can just show that 8 times 6 is going to be 48. That's maybe one way of doing it, or something like, okay, 8 plus 8 is 16, so 16 times 3 is going to be 48, anything like this. And in these exams, it's also allowed that you draw on here. I'm not going to draw on I don't like the sound when I draw with Coke on paper, not my favorite sound in the world, but you can draw on here and they'll come look here as well. So as long as if you do something like this and then show that 8 times 6 is 48, you'll be good. Next one, question B, find the area of the rectangle and give the units of the answer. So I can see there's a dotted line and then some dotted lines as well here. So I'm going to go with already did the length part, so we know the length is 48. And if I have another circle here, it's going to be 8, 8, 8, 8. So that's going to be 8 times 4, which is 32. And if we want the area, we just multiply those two. So 48 times 32 is, so 48 times 32 is going to be 1536. I'm going to write that here because I feel that's a very important number for us. And we also need the units. So we were multiplying centimeters. So we have centimeters. Oh, okay, just put a little equation there. Centimeters or square centimeters. So we would get a correct, hopefully for the calculation we get 1, the answer we get 1, and for the units. If you don't put in the units, you're going to miss that mark. So just be careful of that. So just double check there. So we had the 48, which they gave us, and then the 32, which is 8 times 4 is 32, right? So 16 is 82. Yeah. Cool. Calculate the percentage of the rectangle that is shaded. Okay, so to find the shaded area, I'm going to have to find out what the circle area is and then minus that from the rectangle to figure out what the shaded part is. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that number there so I don't have to work it out later, but let's go for it. So the circles, they're all the same. So the area of a circle is pi r squared. You'd see this in the formula sheet. But it's easy enough to remember. I remember it as, okay, there's 2. There's a pi r squared and there's a 2 pi r. And it's easy to mix up which one is which. I kind of remember it as area always had as a squared part in the units. Also, if you want to look at the area, it's cool to fly up into the air and look down, and then you can see the area. So that's how I remember the pi r squared goes with area. Sorry, my computer froze. Sorry about that. Just want to check on on the same screen. Okay, so, and then this one was going to be the perimeter. Okay, so, but we are working with the area, so we're going to go with pi r squared. Pi just stays pi, and then this is going to be 8 squared. So 8 times 8 is 64 pi. That's for 1. And in order to get 8 of them, well, sorry, 6 of them, I just multiply that by 6. So for 6 circles, it's times 6. So 8 times 8 times 6 is going to be 384 pi. And now I need to subtract that because I have the 1536, that is the whole rectangle, and then minus all the circles are 384 pi. This would be the shaded bit, but because I want the percentage, I want everything over the total amount of area there is in the rectangle, which is going to be the 1536 part. So let's do this. 1536 minus 384 shift pi. That equals this. I'll just write this in 329.628 blah 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 blah, all over 1536. So divided by 1536, it's going to give me, obviously this has to be multiplied by 100 if I want a percentage, and it's going to be times 100. So times 100 is going to give me 21.4601836. I'm not sure what they want, so usually we do 3 significant figures, so I'll just do 21.5 and just write to them 3 significant figures. If they wanted maybe 2 decimal values, I'd do 21.46, but in this case I just did 3 significant figures because that's usually what we need to do. And percentage. Okay, that took a little while, but not too tricky. Number 10. Definitely need some calculators for these types of questions. Number 10, they say the diagram shows a solid metal shape made from a cone and a hemisphere. Oh, you know what? I'm going to pause the video right here and get my formula sheet because I don't have this. I know what the formula is, but I just definitely want to check. Okay, I'm back. I just got this formula sheet. While I was away, I also checked that octagon is spelled octagon. Sorry about that. So it has an A. Not that I think they'll take marks off that. But anyway, so for this question, let me just get it out of the way here. So this formula sheet will be given to you this is another one for the extended paper. So it has everything on it, like this part here, but this will be given to you. If you're a course student, then that part will not be there. But it's just because that's not in your syllabus. Anyway, so the diagram shows a solid metal shape made of a cone and a hemisphere, both with a radius of 6.2 centimeters, and the total surface area of the solid is 600. Calculate the slant height. So basically they're giving us the whole surface area. So surface area is 600. So we know 600 is equal to the surface area of these two shapes combined. So there's a sphere. So I'm going to look on here and see that the surface area of a sphere is 4 pi r squared. But this is not a sphere, it's a hemisphere, so it's divided by 2. So it's going to be 4 pi r squared divided by 2. So that's kind of the, I don't know, hemisphere. Do a little thing there. That's that part. Very ugly hemisphere, but that's the hemisphere part. And then also the cone part. So the cone part, and if I look here, it says the curved surface area of a cone is this pi r L, and L is the the edge, the slant height. So pi r L. So I know that the sphere divided by 2 is the hemisphere part, and then the slant or the cone part is this part. So now I just have to fill in the information. So I have the 600, that's a number, 4 is a number, pi is a number, the radius is given as 6.2, that's a number. So this part I can work out. Pi I know, the radius I know. So basically it's an equation, and the only missing part is the slant height. So I'm just going to start filling this in. So 600 is going to be that, and that's going to become 2 pi r squared. So it's just divided by 2 plus pi r L. And now I'm going to start subbing in. So 600 is going to be 2 pi, and the radius is 6.2 squared, plus this is pi times 6.2 times the slant height. Now I want this part alone. So to rearrange this, I'm going to take this whole term over. I'm going to subtract it on both sides. So I'm going to do 600 minus 2 pi 6.2 squared. I want to kind of not work this out as a number from the start, because it's easy then to kind of lose some digits along the way. So I'm going to try and just rearrange. I know it looks a little bit messy, but I'd rather have this one thing put in the calculator at the end and then take it from there, because then I know I'm not going to make any decimal mistakes. This part is just going to be 6.2 pi, kind of just wrote it differently, times L. And I'm going to divide by 6.2 pi to get that out of the way. So 6.2 pi is going to be on this side. So that part and that part's going to get me the slant height alone. And this part I can just type in my calculator. So I'm going to go with, I'm going to do like the fraction part, 600 minus 2 pi in squared 6.2. I'm going to square it on the inside there. That should be fine. 600 minus 2 pi times that should be fine. And then at the bottom we have 6.2 pi. And if I type that in, I would get 18.4041 blah 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 blah. And they didn't specify anything, so I'm going to go with 3 significant figures again. So my slant height will be 18.4 to 3 significant figures. Okay, so it's not too bad, but I can see that it looks a little messy here with like big weird formula stuff, but you just do the same as you do with a normal rearranging of formula. Question 11. Let's take a look at this one. Let's go with the blue. A rectangular sheet of a paper ABCD, so that's the sheet of paper, is, oh wait, let me just get that in there. There we go. Okay, we have our sheet of paper. Oh, I hope it was fine for the previous question, but at least you have the, if it was cut off, sorry about that. You should have it in front of you, because there's a link in the description below. So download it and get it. Okay, there we go. A rectangular sheet of paper ABCD is made into an open cylinder. So basically they're taking a paper like this and they're rolling it to form a cylinder. Okay, so that's what's being done now. With the edge AB meeting the edge DC. So that's basically that edge meeting this edge, just like I folded it, and they show that. So I have to kind of do some calculations to show that. And whenever I see show that something and to significant figures, I'm going to have to show a bigger number and then round to this number. So just be careful about that, but I'll mention that now. So show that the radius of the cylinder is 4.46. So the radius there, if I look at AD, is the length there. So if I wanted the radius of a circle is going to be 2 pi r. You can find it on here. It should say not the radius, sorry, the circumference of the circle. So the circumference of the circle is 2 pi r. Now I can't find the radius, but I have the circumference of the circle. So the circle all around there is actually the length from there to there. So the circumference of the circle is actually 28. and we have the formula for the circumference of the circle as 2 pi r, and we know this is going to be 28 because that length folds to form the circle. So the 28 is going to be 2 pi r, and I'm just going to divide by 2 on both sides. So pi r is going to be 28 divided by 2, which is 14. Wow, that's the most ugly 14 I've ever made. 14. And to find the radius alone, I have to divide by pi. So I have to find the radius as 14 divided by pi. Now, very important, I can't just write r is this and then on my calculator it's going to be, let's just do this, divided by pi. Oh no, wait, what did I do? 14 divided by pi. And there, if I put this in my calculator, I get 4.45. Now, you can't just do that. You have to write the bigger number, 6338407. So give the whole number, and then you're going to show, if I round this to 3 significant figures, I have to look at the fourth figure there, which is the 6, and it'll have an influence there. So this is going to be 4.46, and then 3 significant figures. Okay, so very important that you, because they're saying show that, you have to give this big number and then show that you rounded it. Okay, so very important. Cool, so calculate the volume of the cylinder. So we know the volume of the cylinder is going to be the base area times the height. Because it's a prism, well, it's a special prism, it's a cylinder, so the area at the bottom just times the height. So to get the area, that's going to be pi r squared, and we just worked out the radius, and we have to multiply by the height, and the height is basically AB. So the distance from A to B is 20. So this should just be pi, and then we have, I would actually just keep this in my calculator. Luckily, I have it in there, but it's the 4.45 blah, 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 blah thing squared times 20. So I have this, I'm going to say, answer squared. That's the radius times pi times 20. And then I get 1247.774. I like to write all the digits so that whoever's marking knows that I think that they're important. And then from here, I don't think they say 3 significant figures, but I'm gonna at least just do the whole number. I think they would do 1, 2. I'm gonna check the memo now. I think 1250 should be good. But let's just check what they said on the memo. Sorry. Yeah, no, they're happy with this number because it's 3 significant figures. But if you give more, it's going to be fine. So if you do something like this as your answer, it's also going to be fine. So, but 3 significant figures are always good, and then they'll give a range of different ones. So, but yeah, okay. And then the last question, question 12. Yeah, we got to the end. Can you believe it? Actually finished this whole paper. Last little question here is about a triangle. So the diagram shows a little triangle here, and they're giving us the outside triangle, or outside is 104, and they're asking for x. Now, special about this triangle, it's an isosceles triangle, so I know this and this angle is going to be the same. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to do 180 minus 104, and that should give me 76. So 76 plus 76 plus 76, sorry, 76 plus 76, that's going to give me 140 plus 12, so 152. But I know the interior angles of a triangle is going to add up to 180, so it's going to be 180 minus 152, which would be 28. Just check 50, 60, 70, 80. Yeah, so 28. Yeah, and that's a wrap for this test. I hope you enjoyed this.